It is a beautiful Sunday in Austin, Texas. We actually have a football game pretty early over in Germany this morning. It's going to be important for me because I'm going up against Bijan this week, so I'll be watching it as we live stream, answer your questions, and I'll be sweating that out for sure. But thank you for everybody coming out this early with me. I'd assume most of y'all are on the East Coast, but regardless, appreciate y'all hanging out with us. And let's go ahead. Let's dive into everything. I should probably turn on the light so I don't look super red from the computer. And God, I'm tired. All right. Negative brochure says sitting at 3-6 and out of the playoffs. The sixth playoff spot goes to the highest scoring team outside of the top five. Okay, that's great to know. So I need the points. What trades or waiver wire moves would you make? Also, any start sit changes would you make for this week? Okay. So a big thing that I want to discuss here is if its record gets in for the top five spots, then the sixth spot is dedicated for the most points for. If we were looking at the record that you would need to be inside a top five, you probably need to be 8-6 or at least 7-7 at the very minimum. But there's no way a losing record is going to be a top five team record wise in this league. So if we are 3-6 right now, we are more so wanting to focus in on how do we just score the most? It's kind of the same regardless, right? We're focusing on how can we score the most points, and that's starting today, not in the playoffs. We need upside for right now, not weeks 15, 16, 17. Now, we are Sutton and Bitches. We are currently 3-6. We have the fourth most value of any team in this league, and we are sitting with the eighth most points for. Looking at the records, the top five teams are going to all be 5-4. And then the 4 and 5 teams below are the ones that are currently playing for points for. We've scored 1,260 points. This 4 and 5 team scored 1,273. This 3-6 team has scored 1,300 and almost 1,310. So realistically, we need to score 50 more points than the Hurts when I don't know what the last word of that is, but than this team. And we don't have that long to do it, right? We need to score 50 more points, and we have weeks 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We got 5 weeks. You got to average 10 more points than them a week. It's a 12-team start 9 format. 12-team start 9 format. You are very much in a spot in which we need depth. We are going to need to focus in on how do we fill out our wide receivers 3, 4, and 5. Honestly, we got to go that far deep with players that we can feel comfortable starting. And looking at your starting lineup for like right now, if this truly is a start 9 league, this week you're starting like Ladd, Marv, Sutton, Barkley, Judkins, and then like Kamani Vidal, and then Colson Loveland in a flex. So the big concern that I would have with this team is your flex spots are pretty damn bad. So, I mean, if there was something that we would be wanting to do, in my mind, it's boring, and I know you're not going to get a lot of value, but you have to look to sell these players that aren't playing right now, such as Trey Benson, Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, to just get people that you can put in your starting lineup right this second. Like I know in the Flock League, the team with Chris Godwin essentially just sold them for Keenan Allen. And a trade like that for you would make so much sense. Just if you can send Chris Godwin and get a wide receiver that you feel good about putting in your flex. Same thing about selling Trey Benson. You can get back either a running back or a wide receiver. Realistically, we already have Barkley and Judkins through their respective buys, so it doesn't really matter if you improve at running back 3, who's going to be going into your flex spot, or if you improve at wide receiver 4, who's going into your flex. It's all the same to you. It's just who's going to score the most points. So I would just try throwing Trey Benson on the trade block, throwing Chris Godwin on the trade block, throwing Brandon Ayuk as if into any deal as if he's nothing. Going to the waiver wire and looking at what you have right now. There's nothing really sitting out there on waivers. So not only is it a deep league that when it comes to starting lineup requirements, but it's a deep league when it comes to players actually being rostered as well. So yeah, I would just try to flip the injured players to get marginal upgrades at the flex spots. I know you're not going to get a ton, but just anything that will help us because we got to average 10 more points than that other team, which is going to be tough. It actually may be easier for you to just actually boost to get that 5th spot because there are only 5 teams in your league with a winning record. So you're not completely out of the hunt for getting in for the record either. But kind of regardless, you need points right now and you can't afford to wait for the injured guys. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. And again, thank you so much for being a member of the flock. Okay, so let's move this over to our next question. This one's going to come out from Skates. Says, how do I do with my team this year? And let me send a message in the dev chat in the Discord. Okay. Because I still can't open up screenshots here. Okay. Let me go ahead and move this over. So check out the trades to see how the team is set up. I can do this for you, my friend, if you link your team. I can't do this with just the 2 screenshots you sent to your team. So because you're wanting me to check out those trades, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you over a free team review so you can resubmit this. I believe this is an ESPN league. So how you link your ESPN league is you just go ahead, go to the My Teams page. I would recommend doing this on desktop on Google Chrome. Adding the extension. Then logging on to flockfantasy.com one window, ESPN the other. Hit sync league, and then it'll pull your ESPN league over to flockfantasy.com. But I'm going to send you over that free team review. If you're wanting me to review the trades that you've made as well, you just simply have to have your league linked because I can't see the trades with just these 2 screenshots. But appreciate you and looking forward to seeing it. I'm sorry for the delay. Now, H. Marquez says, Mason, thank you for the hat. Hell yes, happy to hear you got it, my guy. I'm doing well, but just want to prepare for the playoffs. What should I focus for the rest of the season? Trade and upgrade or just the waiver wire? So we're 8-1, right? We're not just doing well. We are incredible right now. And if we were looking at how this is set up, I'm surprised that this isn't a super flex league because you've been averaging over 200 points scored this season. Like us compared to the team at the bottom of this league in points scored, we've scored like 700 more points than them, which is just ridiculous. You're averaging like almost 100 more points scored per game. Looking at quarterback, I'm going to assume that this is maybe actually a super flex league. As we go over to the waiver wire, there are only 2 startable quarterbacks out there on waivers, despite this being a 10-team league. So I'm going to assume that this is a super flex league. So it's obviously fine if we're rostering Joe Flacco and Sam Darnold, but we're absolutely chilling with what we have at quarterback right now. Obviously, having the elite QB1 with Josh Allen gives us a lot of flexibility. Now, going over to what we have with our next one. We have JT, James Cook, Javonte, Jalen Warren. So, league analyzers telling us this is a start 9 format. So, in my opinion, depth's going to matter a ton here. And we have 4 startable running backs. And then we also have Trey Benson for the long term. So, it makes a ton of sense. Wide receiver, you're currently sitting with CeeDee Lamb, Drake London, Roma Dunse, and then we have Alec Pierce, I guess, is our best next option. Looking at the options that we have from the waiver wire at running back and wide receiver, it's very marginal. Tight end, we have George Kittle and Colson Loveland. And these are better than any tight ends on waivers. And obviously, if we're sitting with George Kittle, we are A-okay. But looking at this across the board, every position looks great. Depth in your league is going to matter. You can tell you got to put a ton of players in your starting lineup every single week based off the fact that we've scored 2,100 points. I would typically say with the team that's this good, oh, you know what I'm probably wanting to do? I'm probably wanting to go ahead and pick up some injured guys in the cheap that can hopefully be difference-making players for us in weeks 15, 16, 17. And we already have Ricky Pearsall. We already have Trey Benson on this team. So I feel like you're already doing that. So I hate to say this, my friend, but I don't think I make a single move with your team. I don't think I make a single move on the waiver wire. I don't think I make a single trade. You're 8-1. You're averaging like over 200 points a week. Like, obviously, you're doing something right, and I think your team can get better as time goes on. So, I appreciate you. I wish I had something more for you here, but honestly, I think you just roll with this as is. Again, I'm sorry. I wish I had more. But let's move this over to our next question. It's going to be Kikoa. It says, looking to build a championship winning team. A lot of talented teams. Currently, we are a lucky 7-2 roster. Do we have any advice for running back 2 and tight end? The first thing is it's a 10-team, 12-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So depth's not going to be super, super important. And realistically, I would like to have a strong RB2 and tight end option. Now, we are 7-2, but like you said, we are a lucky 7-2. We've scored the 7th most points in this league, but the league analyzer does have us as the 3rd best team. So, I mean, sometimes it's better to be lucky than it's good. We're number 1 in the league standings, and at the same time, we're a top 3 team when it comes to value going into the future. Hard to complain about that. Looking at what we have a quarterback, we have Daniel Jones as well as Brock Purdy. 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league where you're not going to be able to get that many flex options in. Quarterback's going to make up a decent percentage of our starting lineup output weekly. So it would be nice to have a better name than Daniel Jones, but at the end of the day, we're not going to cry about having Daniel Jones as well as Brock Purdy as our 2 quarterbacks. Going over to what we have at running back, we have JT, Amari, and Hampton. So obviously, we're not looking at getting Amari and Hampton back until week 13 or after, but really until the fantasy football playoffs. So a team that's 4-5, a team that's 3-6. It's like, hey, we really got to be concerned about our running back 2 here in the short term because we really got to make sure that we win some of these games. But your team, on the other hand, where you are currently sitting at, I don't know, 7-2, easily heading to the playoffs. This team, we can bank on the long-term upside of Amari and Hampton. Now, obviously, it absolutely sucks having to play Woody Marks in the short term. If we look at the options on waivers, I would say, I would 100% pick up Kenneth Gainwell. As we've seen the upside for Kenneth Gainwell in a game in which Jaylen Warren missed, and the upside is he wins you your league if Jaylen Warren goes down. So I would drop Amir Abdullah. I would drop Devin Singletary. Honestly, I'd probably drop both of them for both Kenneth Gainwell and Dermicado. But Gainwell would definitely be the priority. And for whatever reason, if you couldn't drop like Amir Abdullah, then you just go ahead and you drop Devin Singletary and you pick up Gainwell. But kind of regardless, I think Gainwell should be on your roster because we want to give ourselves as many easy outs to find the next Rachaad White, to find the next Rico Dowdle, where if an injury were to occur to the player in front of them, they do turn into a league winner. And I think that can happen with Gainwell, given what we saw earlier in the season when that injury happened. And now moving over to wide receiver, it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. So the depth here is not going to matter a ton. And currently we are sitting with the combination of CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Chris Olave. So we have 3 startable wide receivers. We're in a good spot, right? Ricky Pearsall for the long-term upside, which you like having since this team's currently 7-2. And then going over to tight ends, we have some outs at hitting on a big-time tight end like Colson Loveland and Theo Johnson. I would say if your team was 3-6, you would have some work to do. You would have some stuff cut out for you because, again, if you were in that kind of situation, you would really need to be focusing on how do we win games right now. You're kind of far away from that. So I would really want to go ahead and I would really want to maybe try to send the combination of like Amari and Hampton and Colson Loveland and get the best tight end that we possibly could. But there's a big but with this one. You're 7-2. So I'm A-okay with us taking a small hit with our outlook in the short term if we can optimize for our points in the final 3 weeks. And for that reason, I don't want to make a trade selling our long-term wide receiver value of somebody like Nico Collins to fill in a short-term running back hole or a short-term tight end hole that we may or may not need. It's like having Colson Loveland, there's a chance that Komet, Luther Burden are back in. Colson Loveland goes to dust. That's in the range of outcomes. But there's also an outcome in which Loveland turns into the next Gadsden, right? But I think you can just go ahead and wait. And hope that you end up getting Amari and Hampton back in. Hope that Loveland does fully break out. Would I tell you to go ahead and would I tell you to, like, don't make any move? No, again, I want you to be making waiver wire pivots that we believe could potentially be an out for us to also hit on a player. That's a really big deal in weeks 15, 16, 17 with how, like, you just picked up Colson Loveland and with how I think we should be picking up a player like Kenneth Gainwell. But I would look to make those moves. And then, honestly, I wouldn't stress much beyond that. But I really appreciate you and really hope I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. And I'm sorry, I wish I had more for you, but you're 7-2, and your team's going to get better when the injured guys come back. Now, let's move this over to John's team. Says, my team is 3-6, had some unlucky losses. Only a game behind most teams to have a shot for the playoffs. Any ideas on what moves should be made? Maybe a tight end or a running back. I have wide receivers or quarterbacks to trade away, but not sure to which teams. Found your YouTube this week. Joined the Flock fam. First time trying this out. Thanks. Thank you, my guy. Surprised that we had somebody find us this late in the season. But yeah, regardless, really appreciate you. And let's take a look at this. Our team name is My Team is a Bye. However, according to the league analyzer, you are currently the second most valuable team in this league, and you've scored the 4th most points. So in reality, you are just in a tough spot in which your defense has been horrible. Looking at our points against, we have had, oh my gosh, pour one out in the chat for this guy. Over 1,700 points against. The next highest team points against wise is 1,599. You have been brutalized with luck, my friend. Let's go ahead and let's check this out. So we are 3-6. It doesn't matter if we've scored a bunch of points and we've just been unlucky. Kind of regardless, 3-6 team, what we need to be focusing on is how do we win games right this second? We have two top quarterbacks with Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. One quarterback format. Obviously, it's a very easy thing to say that you got to look to sell one of these quarterbacks. Who would you sell? Honestly, it doesn't matter. I would probably prefer to sell Patrick Mahomes myself because we need to win every game that we can. Mahomes has to go through his bye week this week. Josh Allen's already through his. But in terms of the teams that we're going to try to sell one of these quarterbacks to, this team has Aaron Rodgers as their only QB. Is there a world in which you could try to send Patrick Mahomes and CeeDee Lamb and get to Puka Nacua? I know that sounds like we're selling a lot, and definitely we are selling a lot. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like, oh, okay, well, we're not starting Patrick Mahomes anyway. If we could make that move before kickoff, then all of a sudden we are actually going to be able to get a much better start for this week as well. But this team sadly doesn't really have many other names that you'd be interested in. That's just not a good team. This team's also a bad team, but they literally do not have a single running back or wide receiver that's worth what Patrick Mahomes is. This team is Garrett Wilson. You could try to just flip Patrick Mahomes for Garrett Wilson if you wanted. I mean, do you have the wide receiver depth where that wouldn't be the most exciting thing? So instead, if you wanted to try to send Patrick Mahomes and like Trey Benson and get to Kyron Williams, I think that'd be very interesting, especially knowing that Trey Benson for a team like yours isn't really going to be moving the needle, just considering the fact that we need to win games right now, not in the long term. This team here has Stafford as their top quarterback. I mean, if you could try to send Patrick Mahomes and I would send Travis Etienne and Patrick Mahomes for Jonathan Taylor, but that's going to get rejected immediately. I would still send the offer and just see what they say. And then probably follow it up with a more realistic trade where you just send Patrick Mahomes for Zay Flowers. But while all these deals we're talking about selling Patrick Mahomes, because that would be my preferred sell, because again, he is not gone through his bye week yet, and we need every week we can when we're sitting here at 3-6. If one of these owners gets back to you and goes like, hey, no, I'll do this deal for Josh Allen instead, then you can say, oh, okay, well, I'll send you Josh Allen instead. And we could just pick up Justin Fields or Marcus Mariota for this week. And then have Patrick Mahomes every week going to the future. So in reality, we do any of those deals selling either of the quarterbacks. Running back, we have Achane and Travis Etienne. Trey Benson is 100% a player that I'd like to throw on the trade block as well. Where Benson, obviously, you have a lot of long-term upside, but in terms of short-term production, which is the priority on a 3-6 team, Trey Benson's not cutting it for us. So any of those trades that we discussed, like I think I would be looking to go through and possibly throw Trey Benson into them as well. Looking at wide receiver, we have St. Brown, Lamb, Olave, A.J. Brown. Great wide receiver room. It's a start 8 format, so this wide receiver depth's going to matter. And then tight end, we have Dallas Goedert already through the bye. So all in all, I really like your team. I think there's a reason you're a top 2 team in the league analyzer. I think you've just gotten extremely unlucky with points against. I would try to sell Patrick Mahomes and or Trey Benson to go and get an upgrade in the starting lineup. That would be meaningful right now. Because again, 3-6 team, you need to prioritize how do we get some points right this second. But really appreciate you and hope that I was able to help you out in some way. Now, here, this from Shore Fun is a Dynasty team, so we are going to skip past that real quick. We'll circle back to it, but I want to make sure that we can answer as many of these start-sit questions and these trade questions as we possibly can before the Germany game kicks off. Now, this question's going to be coming out from Shamil. Here for running back, between Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, Kamani Vidal, honestly, they're all relatively in a similar range. Let me look. Are we going to have to start two of these guys? One in the flex? No, I think your flex, as much as I don't want to do it, you probably start Tedero and McMillan over these running backs, because the issue with all these running backs is we really don't know what the workload looks like here in the short term. Now, my rankings, I have Kenneth Walker, RB21. I have Kamani Vidal, RB22, and Aaron Jones, RB26 out of this list. So I have Kenneth Walker one spot higher. So it is a tough spot to say this with confidence, but I think you can go Kenneth Walker. Bitter Hornet says, should we pick up Chris Rodriguez, Tyler Algier, or Kenneth Gainwell? Honestly, I wouldn't. If you were looking at maybe you actually, I guess maybe you do need to start somebody this week because we have no Reed, no Pearsall, no Terry, no Higgins. Byshell Tootin versus those other handcuff running backs, they're all about marginal plays. I would say maybe one of the other players would be slightly better, like Tyler Algier, just given the fact that Byshell Tootin's in a horrible matchup against the Houston Texans defense. But again, gonna be up to you in that case. Now, Ginger Baby says, Dynasty, only team that will trade. Option 2 is DK and AJ. That we would be giving up or they would be giving up? DK and AJ. So I'm assuming you're a contending team here. I would not make this deal because I think I'd rather start Jalen Warren over like Aaron Jones and Cortland Sutton in the short term, and I'd rather have Matthew Golden in the long term. So very easily, the way that this trade is laid out, I would rather have Jalen Warren and Matthew Golden. But if you could pivot over and get to DK Metcalf and AJ Brown, I think that would be interesting. Okay. Now, our next question is from D. Pressflow. Says, need a running back badly. Lost James Conner and Amari Hampton. Other recommendations are Chase, GP, Jacoby, and Tucker for the flex. Okay. I think you can go ahead and make this move if that's your situation where you have the wide receiver depth pieces, while at the same time, you really need help at running back. Am I super excited about it? Judkins is stuck in a garbage offense and he's not going to catch the ball. But I don't know. I mean, I think you can afford to do so. You can take a slight little loss with value. Okay. Now, Jay Hake here for the flex. I would go, honestly, if it was my team, with Brees and David Montgomery, and I'd bench both Chicago backs. Like, if I were looking at what we have with DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai, now that Swift is playing, like right now, they project to split this backfield like 50-50. Is that really going to be the outcome? Probably not. But I think the reason the projections have it that way is it's just extremely difficult to know who is going to be the guy. Okay. Now, deadly shirt with our next one. Running back, I would play Kenneth Walker over Mason Vidal and Woody Marks. Don't love it. In the flex, you have no Ayuk, no Lamb. I'm not playing Myers, DJ Moore. I think you go like Kamani Vidal and Jawan Jennings. Okay. Now, M. Grosme for the flex between Gadsden and Swift. Full PBR format, so it is close, and I'm kind of fine if you wanted to go either way here. Can y'all spam the chat? Who would y'all rather start this week? Would y'all rather start Gadsden or DeAndre Swift? Full PBR format. Again, my take is, if possible, I'd prefer to avoid starting the Chicago running backs with the uncertainty that the split is going to have. See what it looks like this week, then make our decision next week. Gadsden. Every single person is on Gadsden. So if that's the case, I think you run with it. Again, I would be wary of starting either of the Chicago running backs. Now, fantasy is painful. 4 and 5 must win. Should I start Debo at the flex or Rashad against the Patriots? Keep up the hard work, my guy. Really appreciate you. Obviously, not a good matchup for Rashad White, but we know we're starting Barkley, Jacobs. Wide receiver, we start Pittman, Rome. I think it's going to be up to you. I think because of the matchup, because of the usage that we had specifically with Sean Tucker before the bye week, I'm not going to fault you if you just wanted to go ahead and play Deebo Samuel. But honestly, I think it's marginal either way. I definitely agree those are the two players we should be considering, though. Now, Abel, Bo Nix, Puka Nacua versus Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley. Give me Puka over Barkley. Give me Hurts over Bo Nix. But to be honest, as much as I hate saying this, because I have Saquon Barkley on my team and I drafted him over Puka Nacua, I think Puka is just in a completely different tier where I think I'm going to go ahead and take Puka Nacua. Okay. Now our next question is going to be from the Narwhal. It says flex Pierce, Tet, or Tez Johnson. Running back, we're playing Henry. Wide receiver, you're playing JSN. And who's your other wide receiver? I think your other wide receiver is like Alec Pierce. Pickens is not going to play. He's on bye. And then for the flex, you go Judkins. This is a different question here, which I would go Alec Pierce. But yeah, I don't see how you'd be considering them in your flex because you really just got to go ahead and plan on throwing Judkins there. And Derrick Henry, of course. Okay. So let's move this over to our next question. It says, are there any moves I should go out there and make? I cannot see your team, my friend. I will send you over a free trade question. Dak shots here for the flex. Dear God. I probably go Woody Marks. Cade Otton obviously going to have a larger role now that you have all the injuries in Tampa, but still. Ja'Cory Cross-Gamera looks like he's a backup running back in a garbage offense. Now, LeBarnes here, our best option right now on the bench would be probably Kenneth Walker, Tetero McMillan. And honestly, yeah, I would bench DJ Moore. Like, I know DJ Moore obviously scored a ton of points this past week. But realistically, he's still only averaging 11.22 fantasy points per game. And he's averaging 5.5 targets. He's like higher, lower, 38.5 total yards in Underdog Fantasy this week. So I would take DJ Moore out of the lineup. I'd probably put Tedero McMillan in. Now, Tom Hicks trading Nico for Kyron and Kayshon Boutte. I have Nico Collins. I would trade him for Kyron Williams. Kayshon Boutte's literally a 0. I don't know if he's worth a roster spot. Okay. Now, Adam Boyer, running back between Kyle Monungai and Bam Knight. Give me Kyle Monungai. And then for the flex, we will take Nico Collins even with no CJ Stroud. DK Jones says, who should be running back 2 and who wins for both flex spots? Okay. Let me see. It's either Woody Marks or Kamani Vidal. You can keep Marks in there. And then for the flex, full PPR format, I probably go Keenan Allen and Aaron Jones. Not excited in the slightest, but it's better than the alternative of DJ Moore or Woody Marks. But real quick, let me take a break from answering these to send out some free questions in the chat. Of course, we send out free questions a ton here. All you got to do to earn free questions will be drop a like on the live stream and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the live chat, and we'll pick out a couple of people to send some free questions over to. And then also, of course, if you ever wanted to go through and get guaranteed free questions to these streams, you can do so by taking advantage of the offer on Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has been the only sponsor of this channel for 5 years now. And if you use code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog, you will get $100 added to your account after you play your first 5. You'll get a free Aaron Rodgers gimme pick, higher, lower, half a total yard for the game today. And you'll get free questions that you can ask in these live streams. And I'm live streaming every single day until Christmas answering your free questions. And what I'm not actually doing this, but what I'm hoping for is Bijan Robinson lower than 18.65 points in about half an hour, because your boy has to play against Bijan this week. But let me go ahead and start sending out some free questions. Let's send this one to Big Jordan. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream, my guy. Let me see if I can find you on the site. Big Jordan, just found you. Just sent you over that free start set question. Again, appreciate you hanging out with us. Let's send this next one to JP's. Just found you. Just sent you over that free start set question. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream. Let's send this one to Skelly Elk. Just found you. Just sent you over that free start set question. Thank you again. And let me run through the rest of these answers, then we can go back, circle, and send some more start set. Brandon here for that second flex. If we were looking at making an adjustment, it's either Kamani Vidal or Tedero McMillan. I do not want to start Tet McMillan with a hamstring injury, with a game in which the Panthers are going to be able to run the ball consistently. But I also don't want to start Kamani Vidal with how bad the offensive line looks in Carolina. I'm sorry, in Los Angeles. And Kamani Vidal didn't see all the work last week, so. So we'll go Tedero McMillan. Now, Official Rob says we got more J-Mo, Romeo Dobbs, Alec Pierce, and Washington on the waiver wire. Okay. I would make some waiver wire pivots here. I mean, Romeo Dobbs would be your best play. I would drop Tank Bigsby and pick up Romeo Dobbs. And then I would play Romeo Dobbs, to be honest with you, my guy. And then if somebody picked him up before we could, I would pick up Alec Pierce and play Alec Pierce instead. Now, JC, here for the flex. Oh, it's gross. It's really Ja'Cory Cross-Gamerett or Tez Johnson, and I think you go Tez Johnson here in a full PPR format. I mean, 14-team league, it's not that bad, but Ja'Cory Cross-Gamerett, bad offense. It's not going to catch the ball at all. While at the same time, you have Chris Rodriguez getting announced as team captain. So I would very much be concerned about starting Ja'Cory Cross-Gamerett. Okay. Now, Nico Nix, quarterback, going to go Lamar. Caleb versus Herbert is tough, realistically. Like, if you're looking at both of these quarterbacks, Caleb's coming off the monstrous performance this past week with almost 40 points, but it was very easy to say Caleb was somebody that you wanted to start this past week just because you had the great matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's not a tough spot for him this week, but Herbert gets Pittsburgh, so I'm probably going to go ahead and take Justin Herbert. Moving over to running back, we are going to go Saquon Barkley, Rico Dowdle. Wide receiver, Puka Nacua. Then we play Achane, Rachaad White, Marvin Harrison. And your last spot, I'd probably go with Romeo Dobbs, given all the injuries that you have in Green Bay. Now, Heaven, here, quarterback, we have Herbert over Daniels. Running back, we're going to roll with Judkins and Barkley. Wide receiver, you have JSN and dear God. Garrett Wilson, Stephon Diggs, AJ Brown are all in the same tier. Actually, no, we have Diggs one tier below, but Diggs is an interesting play this week. I'd probably go with Garrett Wilson. Tight end, you play Kittle, and then in the flex, I think you play AJ Brown. But yeah, really good team there. That's tough. Now, I be struggling. Here for the flex, you play Breece Hall. I understand Breece is in a tough spot when it comes to the matchup against Cleveland, and also clearly he does not want to be a New York Jet, which you could blame him. I would never want to be a New York Jet. But realistically, this is the last year of his rookie deal. He's still going to have to play for a contract. So like I actually just went out there and traded for Breece Hall this week. I sent Travis Etienne and Rome Odunze for Jalen Waddle and Breece Hall, even though they're stuck in the garbage offenses. Breece this season's averaging about 4 targets a game. He's averaging 14.6 carries per game. So he's giving you like 18, 19 opportunities a game. So I know it's a horrible matchup against the Cleveland Browns, but I would still probably, if it was my team, I would go with Breece Hall. But again, I'm an idiot and I do get things wrong all the time. Now, J.M. Kolu. Here for running back between ETN, DeAndre Swift, and Kyle Monangai. ETN, horrible matchup, but I'm worried the Chicago backs are going to split the backfield, so I'd play ETN. Like, your hope with Kyle Monangai, in my opinion, should be, or Kyle Monangai or DeAndre Swift. If you have both of them on your team, you would almost hope that one of them misses time because then the other player would turn into a must-start name. But with how things stand right now, I'm concerned that it's more so a spot in which they're going to split the backfield 50-50. Okay. Now, average Joe. Running back, we're going to play Judkins against the Jets here easily. Wide receiver, you play London. We did get the report that Sauce Gardner was actually going to be shadowing Drake London, which obviously isn't great. And then in the flex, White has a tough matchup as well. If it was my team, I would go ahead. I would take Breece Hall if it was my team. Now, Purdy thing, running back will play Rashad White. Wide receiver, we're going to go with Pittman, Nico. And then in the flex, Zay Flowers. Let me refresh this, see if we have any more questions to go through. And yes, sir, we do. Here, this is J Panda. We need a flex. But it says considering Jalen Hurts. If this is a super flex, obviously you just play Jalen Hurts in at the super flex spot. Looking at what we have for the other options, we have no Bucky, so it's Woody Marks, best running back, best wide receivers, Wan'Dale. I'd probably play Wan'Dale Robinson. Consistent volume, while at the same time, much better quarterback play than he's had. J Panda coming through for the flex. It's either going to be Trevion or Rashad White. I think you flip a coin between the two. I think Trevion's the more exciting start between the two for sure. But I'd play both running backs over Tedero McMillan. Can y'all spam the chat? Who would you rather start this week? Would you rather start Trevion Henderson or Rashad White? Would you rather start Trevion Henderson or Rashad White? Please let me know in the live chat. Henderson, White, Henderson, Henderson, White, Henderson, White, Henderson. Looks like most people in the chat are saying Rashad White. So, honestly, if that's the case, they're back-to-back for me. I would just go ahead and play whoever you want. Let me look at where I officially put him in my rankings this week. Yeah, I actually had Rashad White at RB 18 and Trevion Henderson at RB 19 in my rankings this week. So I have them back to back. Again, I think I could go back and back with them. When I officially put my rankings out there, we had Rashad White one spot higher. Chat saying Rashad White, so you probably go with Rashad White. Now, Granters here at running back, that same question between Rashad White and Trevion Henderson that you can go back and forth with. And wide receiver, I think you play Rome Odunze. Now, Jay Dollar trading Gadsden for Kenneth Walker and Loveland. We have Tyler Warren at tight end, and we have literally nobody at running back. So, yes, you make this move. Wouldn't tell that to everybody, but for your team, 100% we do. Okay. Now, Eatable trading Ginty and Franklin for Jefferson. Yeah, I'd make this deal for Jefferson. Like, Ginty is still stuck in a garbage offense. Like, at least there's more upside with the offense that you have in Minnesota. Okay. Now, Tim with our next one says, here for the flex, PPR with half point per carry. Half point per carry, you want to flex the running back, for sure. Like, if it was a regular PPR league, I'd tell you to play Trey McBride. But here, no. If it's a half point per carry, Travis Etienne comes out with 15 carries. All of a sudden, you're in a spot in which he's getting 7.5 points added on. And obviously, PPR helps him as well. He will have some receptions too, so. A general rule of thumb, point per carry league, I am always wanting to flex a running back. So I just go ahead and I'd put Travis Etienne in here. Now, Mavium says, made some moves, recovered from losing Jaden Daniels. Playing A.J. Brown still feels like runner's trots. I don't exactly know what that means, if I'm going to be honest with you, my friend. I'd still play. Actually, you can go Zay Flowers over A.J. Brown. But I still think you end up playing A.J. Brown down there in the flex spot. I understand that A.J. Brown's been bad this season. A.J. Brown so far is sitting with 7.3 targets per game. But he's fallen from 16.5 points per game down to like 12.5, despite the targets staying pretty much identical. And then looking at the yards per reception, the yards per target's fallen from 11.1 to 7.7. Yards per route run, 3.16 to 1.76. So the efficiency has fallen off dramatically, but the volume's still there. And it's crazy to say this, that we're in week 10, but it is still somewhat a smaller sample. Like, he missed week 8 with the hamstring. He had the week 9 bye. Like, he's really only played 8 games this season. Okay. Now, Apple says, playing the number 1 team and could jump to the number 1 with the win. Love the videos. Thank you so much for that. No, thank you, my guy. And you have an incredible team here. CMC and Gibbs on the same squad is nuts. Oh, I was going to immediately play Waddle, but you got to get Adams and London in there first. Full PBR format, here's the thing. I know we ranked Rome over Waddle at the beginning of the week, and it very much could be that I went ahead and I traded Rome for Jalen Waddle, and that's why maybe I'm changing my mind on this, but like, if we're just going to be realistic with each other and look at the projections, well, yeah, Waddle is in a garbage offense. Waddle's currently higher lower 66.5 total yards on Underdog. Rome's higher lower 54.5. Rome's higher lower 10.05 fantasy points. Waddle's 11.65. Projections have it as a very clear cut. You want to go with Jalen Waddle, especially in a full PPR format, because the thing is, now that you have Komet, now that you have like Luther Burden good to go, there are just more targets, and Loveland looks viable. There's more target competition for Rome Odunze than there was earlier in the year. Now, Slasher O here for running back. Trevion Henderson versus Rashad White. Flip a coin. But I'd play both of them. You put one in at running back, one in at the flex. I got to log back in to make sure that the site keeps sending these out appropriately. Give me 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Log out. Log back in. And it looks like we just hit 300 likes. So let's also make sure that we go through and send out some free questions in the chat. If y'all want to get free questions, it's really easy to qualify. All you got to do is go ahead and drop a like on the live stream, and then drop your flockfantasy.com username in the live chat. That way, if you win, I know who we're sending out those free questions to. And then also, of course, if you wanted to get guaranteed free questions, you can always do so by taking advantage of the offer on Underdog Fantasy, where if you go over to Underdog Fantasy and use promo code FLOCK, you'll get $100 out into your account after you play your first 5. You'll get a gimme pick for Aaron Rodgers, higher, lower, half a total yard for the game against the Chargers today. And you'll get free questions in these live streams. And I'm live streaming every single day until Christmas, answering your fantasy football questions. But let me send this out to Adam Cuz real quick. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream, my friends. Send you over a free question. Adam Cuz. Am I spelling this right? Yes, I am. I don't know if you use code FLOCK when you set up your account. If you didn't, you can add it to your account page now. That way, next time if you win something, I can find you on the site. Let's send this out to Kai Dub. Kai Dub, I can't find that exact username on the site. I just found Kai Dubs. I'm assuming it's the same person, so I just sent that person a free start set. Hopefully that's you. Send this to HB99. Okay. Just found you. Just sent you over a free start set question. Appreciate you hanging out with us in this live stream, my friend. Okay. Now let's keep this show on the road and let's start sending out some more questions. I'm sorry, answer some more questions. Slasher O, I would start Rachaad White here. Actually, we already answered this. You go Rachaad White and Trevion Henderson. Nifty backbone, running back. Between Bam Knight and Dermicado, I would go Dermicado. Don't love it. Wide receiver, I would go with, if you didn't play Trey Tucker, you're going to play Christian Watson and Shaheed. But if Alec Pierce is out there on the waiver wire for you, that'd be a much better option. Dustin Drip, here wide receiver. No Chase, no Lamb this week. You're looking at A.J. Brown, Rome, Marv. Probably go Rome. Brees in the flex for sure. And then with A.J. Brown. And then I'd bench Marv. Marv was an easy play last week with the matchup that he had against the Dallas Cowboys. It's a much tougher spot now. Okay. Now, Colin, here wide receiver. I would go with Garrett Wilson over Rome. And then in the flex, I'd probably play Rachaad White. Like, honestly, I think I'm very biased because we traded Rome away. But I'm getting nervous with Rome, given how many options that this team may now have. Okay, because now they have the viable tight ends. And 2 viable running backs and Luther Burden back. There are a decent amount of names out here. Okay. Now let's move this over to our next one. Cater Dot says, unsure what to do with White, Smith, and Ladd. I would play Ladd over Devonta Smith, and I'd probably play Rachaad White over Devonta Smith now that A.J. Brown is fully good to go. Okay, Jordan Kidd, quarterback, you go Caleb. Running back between Singletary, Chris Rodriguez, Byshell, Tootin. You probably go Devin Singletary. Am I excited about it? Hell no. But he does look like he is split in the backfield close to 50-50 with Tyrone Tracy. Is it exactly a 50-50 split? Of course not, but it doesn't look that far off. Okay. Now, Italian Stallion looks like you did not send a trade here, so let me send you over another free trade question so you can resubmit that. Ryan, wide receiver. We're going to go Zay Flowers. And the flex spots, actually, Javante's on by. I'm being an idiot. Ignore my monkey brain. We go Addison and Jalen Warren, but Jalen Warren's a super easy play. If you ever get the opportunity to play a running back that just gets a guaranteed 3-down workload in your flex, like in general, that's something that we are wanting to do. Okay. Now, our next question is coming out from Wayne Gretzky. It says, I already made this trade. I had JSN and Dowdle. Traded for Mahomes. Jacobs. Was this dumb? Jacobs versus Dowdle. Give me Jacobs. JSN versus Pittman and Mahomes. Give me JSN. I probably think this is dumb. For me, I think Dowdle's a top 10 running back rest of season. I think JSN is in a completely different tier of players. So for me, I would prefer the JSN and Rico Dowdle side of this. Can y'all please let me know in the chat, would y'all rather have the left side of this trade or the right side? The left side's Patrick Mahomes, Josh Jacobs, Michael Pittman. The right side is Rico Dowdle, JSN, and Deebo Samuel. We got right, left, right, 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 right. Yeah, it looks like most people are on the right-hand side of this, my friend. Which again, I'm sorry, but that's where I would be personally. But yeah, I'm sorry if that's bad news. Let me move this over to T Mitts here for the flex. We're going to take the combination of Rome Odunze and Devonta Smith. Like, I really don't want to start any of these running backs. I don't feel comfortable with the workload for literally any running back there. Now, Coleman Watson, here I'd go Marv over Addison, and then in the flex, I would go with Rachaad White over Addison. They're capping the overall passing attempts you're going to see from McCarthy, which makes things tough. At least they have so far. Now, K Cubulus says 12-team Superflex, start 10 full PPR. We need 2 to flex. So we're flexing 2 out of Parker Washington, Woody Marks, and Kamani Vidal. I would probably flex the running backs if it wasn't for this team going out there and trading for Jacoby Myers. I think Parker Washington would be a more interesting start. And also, if it wasn't for the fact that Parker Washington has a horrible, horrible matchup. Against the Texans. So I would bench Parker Washington. Again, I think Parker Washington would be a sneakier start, a more fun start, if it wasn't such a bad matchup. Okay. Now, Purdy Thing says, I could drop Jaden Daniels for Alec Pierce on the waiver wire. I would not do that based off the word we just got with. I would drop Parker Washington for Alec Pierce, and I'd play Tedero McMillan and Alec Pierce. I wouldn't drop Daniels, though. They just said that they're going to reevaluate Daniels after the bye. Okay. Now, Big Jordan with our next question. Here, our best name that we currently have on the bench is, I guess, Darius Slayton. And there's no way you can put Darius Slayton over any of these options. So, yeah, I think you leave this as is, my friend. Now, PPAV for the flex. We're looking at Tedero McMillan, Addison, Woody Marks, or Kyle Monangai. Full PPR format. Woody Marks going to be in a bad offense. Kyle Monangai, I don't know what the workload's going to project to be. I probably just play Tedero McMillan. Don't love it. Bad offense, hamstring injury. If DeAndre Swift was out, obviously we'd play Monangai, but with Swift playing, it's going to be tougher. Now, Skelly Elk, here at tight end, give me Tyler Ward over Loveland. And then for the flex, I honestly probably play Aaron Jones over DJ Moore. Like, I think if you're playing DJ Moore this week, it's going to be a massive, massive mistake. A lot of target competition now in Chicago where there wasn't last week. Tougher matchup for Chicago. So, yeah, I don't want to play DJ Moore. Now, JR Lum says, is Dart over Jalen Hurts overthinking it? I wouldn't ever make that kind of play myself. I don't think it's a bad question, though. Because if you are looking at the matchup for Jalen Hurts and the implied team totals, like the Giants currently project to score more points than the Eagles this week. So maybe if somebody was like, I don't know. You play Judkins here for sure at the flex. If somebody was mentally tougher than I would, and then I am, maybe Jackson Dart over Jalen Hurts is the correct play this week given the matchups. But I can't make that call now. Now, Mike is washed says also have an additional super flex spot with T-Law. Okay. Yeah, you definitely don't play any of these options over T-Law in the super flex. I honestly may go Trevi Henderson over Travis Etienne given the matchup for Etienne. Hassan, I'll be streaming as long as we have questions, my guy. I'm definitely not going to end this stream with any questions left over. I don't know if we're going to stream all the way until 1 p.m. Eastern like we normally do. I actually have exciting news. I have driven the same car since I was 16. It's like a 2013 car, and it's been having problems lately. And I think I may, and I'm just so scared of buying a new car. I don't know, like, it's just scary to me. I don't know why. Like, I've never bought a car before. I'm lucky enough, super, super lucky, of course, that my parents gave me my car when I turned 16. But I may go test drive a car today and get a car. We'll see. So I think I may end this live stream at like 12 Eastern if we are out of questions, so I can go ahead and try to go test drive the car before the kickoff happens. Now, anyway, so we also have the additional super flex. I'd play Tedero McMillan here over Quentin Johnson and Khalil Shakir. Eater Bacon says get a Toyota for the reliability. I think I am going to get a Toyota, to be honest. And then I would go with probably Khalil Shakir over Quentin Johnson. The thing with Quentin Johnson as well, the points per game mark looks great. And while he's really been helping my underdog teams, if you're looking at the volume trends, it's just really gross. Like, he hasn't had more than 6 targets since week 4. Gadsden breaking out has kind of erased him from this offense. And then for tight end between Hawk, Zach Ertz, I'll probably go Zach Ertz given the Terry injury. Okay. Craig Patrick says, bro, test driving and walking into dealership is not a short activity. These dudes keep you there forever. I've actually test driven. Like I said, I'm probably the car dealership's like least favorite person in the world, because I've actually test driven a bunch of cars since I've started thinking about getting a new car. And honestly, I just walk in, and every time I've gone to test drive a car, it's been like 30 minutes. Like, they just give me the keys right away, essentially. But let me know if y'all have any car recommendations in the chat. One thing that I have to keep in mind is I am doing a road trip to California after the season ends from Texas. So for a second, I saw you can get like a good deal on like a used Rivian truck that I think they retailed for like over 100K, but you could get them like used for like 50. And I was like, ooh, maybe I ball out and get something like that. Then I was like, I don't want to have to deal with doing that long of a road trip with an electric car, because it would take it from like we could push through and make it a 2-day road trip to make it a 3-day road trip having to charge. So I don't think I would do that. We got Toyota Supra. What's a Toyota Supra? It also has to be a bigger car. Because, yeah, I can't do a small car like this because I got a big dog. Y'all have seen the dog. The dog's 100 pounds. Yeah, I can't do an Accord. My brother has an Accord. Yeah, so from what I've heard, and I want to be very honest, I'm not trying to say I know anything about cars. Don't get offended when I say this, because again, I'm 100% honest. I know nothing about cars. I generally don't care about cars that much. Like I said, I've driven the same car since I was 16. The car's, 14 years old at this point. I'm not saying, what's it called? I'm 30 years old, but the car was used when I got it. What's it called? But what I've heard that American cars aren't reliable anymore. Don't get an American car. I've heard Toyota and Honda are good cars. And that's really about it. Let me see. Toyota Highlander. Let me see what a Toyota Highlander is. Highlander. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, I need to go test drive some stuff. But anyway, it looks like we had 400 likes. Let me go ahead and send out some free questions in the chat. If you haven't already, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream to qualify you to win some free questions, and then drop your flogfantasy.com username in the live chat, and we'll send them out. But honestly, I think I may look at a Toyota Tacoma. How much are they? I like the idea of having a truck. I don't like big trucks though. Like where you feel like you're driving a tank. I'm not manly enough for that. I'm a little boy here. I need a smaller truck. Yeah, Toyota Tacoma's not that expensive. Maybe I'll test drive a Tacoma. Okay. But let me go ahead and send out some free questions in the chat. We got Mystery Girl. Let me see if I can find you on the site. Send you over that free start set question. Just found you and just sent you over that free start set. Always appreciate you hanging out with us in these live streams, my friend. And let's send this other one out to Paul Sensei or Paul Sensei. I cannot find you. I don't know if you used code FLOCK when you signed up, my friend. Oh, Paulie. That's what it is. That's Paulie. Can I find you now? Just found you now. Perfect. Just sent you over that free start set question. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. But let's move this back over and Shrek and Fiona says, here's the first fun car. We got Lexus. We could ball out and do a Lexus. We had a really good football season. But here's the car that I would want. Super expensive. But so I actually was running when we did my fiance worked on Happy Gilmore 2 this year. So I never lived anywhere outside of Texas or Florida, but we had went and stayed in California for a couple months while she was working on the movie. And I was running like in the hills and I saw them filming a Lexus GX commercial. And I was like, oh, this car looks nice. But we went and talked to them about it. And apparently they're like super hard to get. Like you have to order it like a year in advance. And I don't think my car is going to last that long. Like I need a car kind of now. So there's a chance we were going to ball out and get like a crazy nice car like that. But looking like it's not likely. And also I'm very bad about being a spaz. If I spend a bunch of money on a car and then like I went to a parking lot and it had like a door ding in it, you know, it would ruin my day. What I really like about having like such an old car right now that I just want to keep if it wasn't for having, I'm having problems is I like the fact that I'm never worried about it. Like if I go to a parking lot and it's dinged up, like don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be happy, but it's not going to ruin my day, you know. Or if I got something crazy like Alexis and then I go to the parking lot and somebody scraped it, I'm going to cry. Okay. But anyway, Phoenix licks here for wide receiver. You play AJ Brown and honestly probably Devonta Smith. And then in the flex, we're going to go Breece Hall and Marvin Harrison. And then I think you can bench Tedero McMillan. Okay. Now, McConkey Kong. So it's confused, run this lineup or pick up from the waiver wire. Your best play here would be Dermicado. You have Demario Douglas. I can't see your waiver wire options. I would say you're probably in a spot where it would make sense to look at the waiver wire. Like if you could go and get somebody like Tez Johnson, somebody like Alec Pierce, I think that would be a much better play here if they are available on your waiver wire. Okay. Now, Sarge, quarterback, you have Josh Allen. Running back, we're rolling with Barkley, JT, Gibbs in a flex. Wide receiver, you play Ladd as well as Tedero and McMillan. And then in that last flex spot, I'm sure you already played Dobbins. I would have played Dobbins if I were you. But obviously, we're not sitting here super excited about the 9.5 points. So if you didn't play Dobbins, I would play Marv. Okay. Now let me refresh this. We got Ciabino says start White or Robinson in the flex. Which Robinson is this? Wandale. I think I would just play Rachaad White. It's not as easy as it used to be to say that because, again, you had Sean Tucker expanding the role before the bye week for the Bucs. So you can still do it. Now, Tingus Pingus. I know. Let me pull up the Colts-Falcons game on my phone real quick. So obviously we'll be talking about the game as it goes on. I'll rewind 15 seconds because I know some of y'all are behind us whenever we watch it. I don't want to spoil things for y'all. Tingus Pingus here for the flex between Tyrone Tracy and Kamani Vidal. I'd probably go with Vidal. I've at least seen him have a good game. Okay. Dayton says, Mason, I sell Toyotas in Florida and can answer a ton of your questions if you give recommendations. That's good to know, my friend. The main Toyota that I've been liking lately, looking at, and I have no idea what I'm going to get, is the Land Cruiser. I heard, though, that the engine's not good. I don't know how true that is. But what do you think? Yay or nay to a Toyota Land Cruiser? And then Hassan says, no, too big, too many problems. Brian says, Toyota 4Runner, engine on the new Land Cruiser is great. Again, I know nothing about cars. Nay, get a 4Runner. Let me look up Toyota 4Runner. My dad has a 4Runner. Toyota 4Runner. But anyway, let me get back to this. Here's the reality of the situation. I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to stress too much. I'm not going to buy a car, and I'm just going to try to find a way to get my current one fixed. That's what's going to happen, but I can daydream about getting a car right now. And we had a very good football season. I definitely can afford a car. I'm not trying to act like I can't afford a car. It's more so about the stress of it. I really don't like doing stuff like that. McConkey Kong here at running back. I would go Delgado over Chris Rodriguez. Wide receiver, Jacoby and Shaheed would be your two names. I do not like that spot at all, though. Okay. Now, yeah, people are voting Forerunner. Maybe I'll test drive a Forerunner. Okay. Now, Jet here at quarterback, we got Lamar. Running back, Jalen Warren. Wide receiver, Diggs. And then of the flex, we're going to go Travion Henderson for sure. I'd go Henderson over Marvin Harrison. And if you were feeling a little shaky with it, we did just get the report that Travion Henderson and Kyle Williams are expected to be more involved in week 10. Okay. Now, HB99. Corey, you're going to have to stream. Obviously, Flacco's on bye. Daniels is injured. Running back, yeah, Breece Hall as the easy play. Yeah, I mean, I know Breece Hall is the tough matchup, but there's no way in hell you're playing Woody Marks, David Montgomery, or Kamani Vidal over him. Okay. Son says, make sure the Forerunner is TRD or limited edition. It's like 4K to 10K more, but you're going to ride it into the ground. Forerunner TRD. What does that mean? I guess it's just a different type. What's the miles per gallon you get gas-wise in this? We'll look into this. Soxer running back. We're going to go Jalen Warren pretty easily. Wide receiver, you play Jefferson, Nico. For the flex, full PPR format, honestly, I don't know. It's between Etienne White, A.J. Brown, Deebo Samuel. Deebo, you have no Terry, but you have garbage quarterback play. A.J. Brown's been bad, and it's a tough matchup. I'll get my rankings of them right now. I have A.J. Brown, wide receiver 14, Deebo, wide receiver 18. Going over to running back, we have Etienne and Rachaad White back-to-back at 17 and 18. I have Etienne one spot ahead of them. But in reality, I think that these are marginal differences, and I think you can kind of go in either way here. Okay. But I want to reiterate to y'all what I am currently stressing is I'm playing against Bush in the Flock League this week. I need to win. I need to put this guy in his place. And he has Bijan Robinson. So the last thing that we want is a big Bijan Robinson day. Okay. Now, Paul Cincy. Here, running back between Swift, Monangai, Harvey. I would go DeAndre Swift between the two, but obviously it's tough for me to know that for sure. God, Jonathan Taylor looks so good on that play until the fumble. Let me know if I'm behind y'all. I'm sorry if I'm too far in front of y'all. Okay. Actually, yeah, I didn't rewind 15 seconds, so I'm probably too far ahead. And then here at wide receiver, we're going to go Tedero McMillan. And then your flex is Quentin Johnston or Kyle Monangai. You can play both Chicago backs here. Because, again, while I really hope that Quentin Johnston crushes, by no means is it a guarantee. Okay. Now, Himothy is trading Brees, Igbuka, and Flowers for CMC. Here, this is a 10-team, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex format where you are absolutely loaded. So, yes, sir, we want to go ahead and we want to get Christian McCaffrey. Now, Brandon says we started Bowers and Bo Nix, so we need some upside. Need to get the wide receiver start right. Looking to lock up the first week win. So, We'll definitely throw Rodgers in the super flex. Running back, we're starting Taylor. Dear God, your team is loaded. You have Gibbs and a flex. Wide receiver, you go Zay and Wilson pretty easily. And then in the flex, I go Trevion Henderson. I think that this starting lineup's honestly kind of clear cut here. Now, Average Joe says, or are we going to roll with Harold Fannin? So we have Lamar, quarterback. Running back, I'm sure you started Genty, Judkins. Wide receiver, JSN, London. You can go Kincaid over Fannin now that Njoku's good to go. And then for that last flex spot between Rome and Brees, probably go Rome, but it's close. Okay, now trustworthy soup. Quarterback, I would go ahead and take Mac Jones here. I understand, well, yes, it's a tough matchup against the Rams. We have seen historically with Shanahan and McVay, these games be exciting and you want some fantasy points. Eater of Bacon says there was no fumble. Yes, there was a fumble. The Colts just recovered the fumble. And then for the flex between Tedero McMillan and Tyrone Tracy, I would go with Tedero McMillan. Not super excited about either, of course. Okay. Okay. Let's move this over to our next question. This is Peepers. Says Austin Douglas, Malik Washington are the other options. So those aren't exciting in the slightest. I'd go Woody Marks over Jordan Mason now that Aaron Jones is good to go. Wide receiver, I'd take Shaheed. And then in the flex, I'd probably play Jordan Mason. Don't love it. Do not love it. Okay. We're all caught up on the quick questions. Let me go over and see if we have some team reviews that we can run through. This one's from Sure Fun. It says 12 teams start 11. Ooh, the Falcons stop them. For me, when I'm sweating like Bijan, I'm just hoping the Colts can extend drives, right? And chew up a bunch of clock. My first drive. Not the best. Okay. It says 12 teams start 11. I'm the commissioner of this league, and I need to get this team headed in a positive direction. Love the running backs and quarterbacks. I can't stand to look at my wide receiver room. So we are 5-13. So we're a rebuilding team. You have your own 2026 first. You lost Cam Scatterbo for the year. You lost Joe Burrow for the year. This is a team that 100% should be looking to play for 2026 and beyond. And to be completely honest with you, my friend, I'm not concerned with our positional value when it comes to a rebuilding team. What I would be more so interested in is I would be interested in us going through and just accumulating as much value that we can this offseason. And then this offseason, you'll have 7 months in which you are able to make trades to put yourself in a position where maybe you have a better wide receiver. But okay. If we are looking at what we have when it comes to a rebuilding team, we want to be selling anybody that we think will be worth less this offseason in Dynasty than they are right now. And if we are looking at some of those names, like Burrow will be worth more this offseason than he is now, for sure. Justin Herbert will be worth, it could be more, could be less, could be the same, depending on how he finishes the year. But knowing that he could go up in value, we kind of want to leave him here. Going over to running back, essentially any running back that is on their second contract already, just the way that it works is they're going to be worth less in the offseason than they are right now. So, I mean, I would like to, if possible, go through and sell James Cook on a rebuilding team. If you could move James Cook and get back 2 future first. Oh, crap. Is that Bijan? Oh, dear God. You freaking. Okay. If you can move James Cook, get back 2 future first, it would be an absolute no-brainer. And you should be willing to throw in DJ Moore as if it's nothing. You should be willing to throw in Terry McLaurin as if it's nothing. But really, the only thing that I would look to do with this team is I would try to sell James Cook and Terry McLaurin, get back the equivalent of 2 future first, put yourself in a position where we're very easily going to earn the 101 in 2026. Then we'll have the additional rookie picks. We'll have Burrow coming back. We'll have Judkins and Scat at running back. And you'll have Tucker Kraft coming back. Obviously, Kraft going down for the year puts you in a tough spot as well. But what I would not look to do, brutal Kyle Pitts drop. I would not look to say like, oh, I really need to have some help at wide receiver. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to trade James Cook for a wide receiver right now. Don't worry about your positional value on a rebuilding team. And I see that you're in the chat, my friend. So if there's anything that you have specific questions about, I'd be happy to take a look at it for you. But yeah, I mean, you lost Kraft for the year, you lost Scat for the year, you lost Burrow from the year, and you're sitting here with the big time losing record. So it's very easily that you want to pivot to a rebuild. You want to sell James Cook. You want to sell Terry McLaurin. You want to sell DJ Moore. Build around Judkins, Scat, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Tucker Kraft. I could even say that Nico Collins would be an interesting sell if, and it's a big if, but if he had a popped week where he scores 30, 35 points, then all of a sudden you could sell Nico Collins and a rookie pick and go get somebody like Malik Neighbors. But for right now, you're not going to be able to make that kind of move. You're going to need a big Nico week if you're going to sell him. But I really appreciate you and hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. But, Michael Penix. Sack, fumble. Colts get the ball. Okay. And I think, yeah, let's move this over to our next team, which is going to be from Rage Vahona. So started hot and now trailing off. My next few weeks are going to be rough. I'm debating on retooling to compete for next year. We recently traded Loveland for Pickens and Wan'Dale Robinson. Have an offer involving Dart and Achane. Robert, do not, I would hate that move. Do not sell Herbert or Burrow right now to down tier and get another wide receiver. In the offseason, that's something that you can explore. But for now, you need to focus in on long-term value. And the long-term value for Herbert and Burrow are going to be better than you down tiering for, like, do not do that, please. You can do it in the offseason, but not right now. Do not worry about wide receiver right now. You don't need to worry about wide receiver until August of 2026. If it's a redraft league, then yeah, for sure, but no. But let's go over to Rage. So started hot, now trailing off for my next few weeks are going to be rough. I'm debating on retooling to compete for next year. Recently traded Loveland for Pickens and Wan'Dale Robinson. Have an offer involving Dart and Achane. Much love for what you do. Shout out to the homie Brandon. Shout out Brandon. If you're in this chat, I know you were out here an hour ago. Let me know what the Dart and Achane offer is. We are Diddy Dart Dynasty. We are 7-11. Obviously playing against the league median here. JT touchdown. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor touchdown. I'm playing against the league median. We are in a spot in which it's a uphill battle for us to be winning, right? Anything here. Like, you need, if we're going to make it to the playoffs, You need to turn the corner ASAP. And to be honest with you, you're just not going to be one of the stronger teams in this league this year. Like, let's look at some of the real strong teams. This team is Josh Allen, Daniel Jones in its Superflex. They're starting Jonathan Taylor, Kyron, CeeDee Lamb, St. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle. This team is May, Dak, Barkley, CMC, Chase Brown, Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas, Brock Bowers. Like, it's going to be hard for us to compete with some of these teams. Like right now, in terms of long-term value, obviously we love Amari and Hampton long-term. We love Ashton Genty long-term. Love Dart long-term. Rome, Pickens long-term. Good options. Tyler Warren, great cornerstone piece to build around. So I think you have a really strong foundation to build this dynasty team going into the future. I just don't know if you have enough juice to go ahead and win this year. I mean, if you had a winning record and if we were currently in the playoffs, then I think I would probably go ahead and I think I would probably try to make one minor deal where maybe you send a rookie like Jaden Higgins, get a short-term depth piece at running back, somebody that we feel fine starting for the time being with the Amari and Hampton injury. But we're not wanting to do that with a losing record. Like, you're more so leaning towards pivoting to a rebuild if we needed to do so. So what I would probably look to do here myself is I think I would lean into the rebuild with the Amari and Hampton injury and with us not necessarily having that additional running back. The thing is, if you pivot over to a rebuild, who do we really need to sell? Like, who's a player that contending teams are going to be excited to trade for that we wouldn't necessarily expect to have more value this offseason than they do now? Maybe Jake Ferguson. That'd be the only player that you would look to go ahead and look to sell off for. Like, if you get a 2026 first, it'd be an absolute no-brainer. But I think you just kind of continue down this path and your team is going to I don't know. I think you continue down this path and you're going to be just fine. Like, for long-term value. I don't necessarily think that there's a single trade that you need to make. If you were sitting at 11-7, then I'd probably want to go out there and I'd probably want to try to acquire a running back right now. Which I know you're talking about maybe a Dart and Achane deal, but you being a losing team out of the playoffs right now, you make that kind of deal and then you don't have a miraculous comeback to make it inside the playoffs, you're going to be kicking yourself in the offseason, which I wouldn't want to do. But I really appreciate you and hope that I was able to help you out in some way with this, my friend. But I think that your team is set up in a really good way with the foundation for the long term. And I wouldn't look at doing much. Skate says, I think my league is synced now. Can you tell me how to? Okay, so here's the thing, man. If your league is synced, when you go through the process of submitting a team to review, like say you're going to submit a team for review, right? Go to team review, click the link here, click the league here that you want me to review. If you're leaving it on non-linked, then it's going to ask you to fill this out and then submit screenshots. If your league is linked, like here, the Flock League, right? I hit continue. Then I can say like, oh, okay, my team is Team of Destiny. This is my team. Then I can go ahead and I can send it to Mason. But Right here, you're going through the non-linked version and you're sending a screenshot. There's no point in which if you have a linked team, it should ask you to send a screenshot. So I'll send you over another free team review voucher so you can resubmit that, my friend. Okay. Let me refresh this, see if we have any more questions. Here we got Planet Trez. So 7 years into selling cars here. Ask me anything. I'll let you know, my friend. I'm probably definitely not buying a car today. Definitely want to go test drive one though. But if we look to actually buy one, I'll hit you up. But here, if we could sell Hampton and Brian Thomas and get Javonte Williams, it'd be an absolute no-brainer. Only scenario in which I wouldn't want to do this is if I was like 8-1 and guaranteed to be in the playoffs. But like as a 7-2 team in my league, I would have potentially been interested in going. Are you kidding me? Pass interference on like the 1 yard line for Atlanta, which means Bijan's about to get a touchdown. Brutal. But yeah, if you're like I'm 7-2, right? So I actually considered going through and trading for Amari and Hampton, but my holdup with it was, oh, okay, well now that Joe Alt's injured, this offense is just all of a sudden going to be much, much worse. So I decided against it. I do actually, for whatever reason, they're on like the 11-yard line, not the 2-yard line. So. Okay. Not an automatic Bijan touchdown. But yeah, I would go with Javonte here. And Brian Thomas doesn't look startable. But Beto always happens. Tyler Algier, get in. Oh, come on, Algier. Come on. Keep him on the field. He's down at the 1. Do not put Bijan Robinson in. Do not put Bijan in. Keep Tyler Algier in there, please. Come on, Algier. Stay on the field. Is that Algier in there? Ooh, Tyler Algier touchdown. Let me record something for the Flock League. Congrats to the Atlanta Falcons running back that I'm playing against. Oh, no, actually, I'm not playing against Tyler Algier. Corey started the wrong one. He went with Bijan Robinson. But anyway, whoever has Tyler Algier in this league, not Corey. Again, he made the wrong call starting Bijan. Congrats on your touchdown. And Corey, I'm sorry that you're going to get handed this L. Okay, we'll see if that makes it. But Tyler Algier touchdown. Boy, I'm excited. Algier TD. All right. Sorry if y'all have Bijan Robinson, but again, I'm rooting against you this week. Beto here, quarterback between Dart and Caleb. Probably go Caleb. It's close though. And then in the flex, we're going to go with the combo. Trevion Henderson is a must-start play here, and then you're going to go Woody Marks over Dylan Sampson. And nobody else is going to play. But yeah, Trevion Henderson looks to actually be a pretty good start this week. Okay. Now, M. Biengoy, here running back, Rico Dowdle, Josh Jacobs, auto starts. Wide receiver, we have no Rice, we have no Slayton. So you go Keenan. Hopefully you started Troy Franklin. I don't know if you did. If you started Franklin, then obviously we're chilling. If you didn't start Franklin, I would go Parker Washington. But honestly, I would go Kyle Monungai and Loveland in the flex spots. Anyway. Okay. Let me move this over. And I believe DC Snake Eyes says they split Bijan in the slot. Wow. Honestly, I didn't even see that Bijan was out there. Oh crap. I got my dad's birthday's coming up. I got to get him a birthday present. I didn't realize how late in November. Yeah, I didn't even see Bijan was out there. I was just staring at the backfield, making sure that was number like 25. Okay. But let me move this over, see if we have anything else. Skate says, all right, now we should be cool. Really appreciate you checking out the trades. How'd I do this season? Thanks for all the advice. Well, my friend, I think you already are in a spot in which you know that you are absolutely crushing here. Because taking a look at this, we are the number one team in this league in terms of value, and it's not even remotely close. We are the number one team in this league when it comes to points scored, and it is not even remotely close. You've scored 150 more points than the next highest scoring team here. Looking at the trades in this league, please load. Come on, load for us. Load for us. I believe in you. We'll have to see in a second if this is going to load, my friend. I don't know why this isn't right now. But anyway, with how we are currently situated, we have the most valuable running back room in this league, the most valuable wide receiver room in this league, the most valuable tight end room in this league, and arguably the second most valuable quarterback room. God dang, Jonathan Taylor is just so good. Looking at quarterback, we have Lamar. When you have Lamar, you don't need to worry about much else. For me, I would probably opt to go with Brock Purdy as a backup quarterback over like Fields or Flacco if you really wanted a backup QB. But Lamar's already through his bye, right? So you are honestly chilling here. And now going over to running back, we have Taylor, Bijan, Jalen Warren. So we have three absolute must start, set it and forget it running backs every single week, two of which are elite. Alec Pierce touchdown. Oh, we talked about Alec Pierce in the projections video yesterday. Underdog had him super high as a quality start. But anyway, running back, we're in a phenomenal spot, right? Wide receiver, we have JSN, Rashee Rice, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. We have Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. It's a start 8 format, so the depth here is going to matter a decent amount. And then going over to tight end, we have Trey McBride. You have an incredible team. Trade-wise, there's legitimately nothing for you to do. Trade-wise, you are chilling with this team on your roster as is. But in terms of waiver wire pivots, the only thing I would possibly consider is dropping a backup quarterback and picking up Brock Purdy. And I wish I could see your trades, my guy, because obviously there's no way in hell you drafted this team. Like, this team is insane. But again, really appreciate you. Congrats on winning your league this year. There's no way you get taken down. Love the construction of the roster. And again, when you are number one essentially across every position in your league in value, and you've scored 150 more points than the next highest person, there's not much to do. You are really chilling with that in mind. But let me move this over to the Dodler. It says, I've turned Brown, Etienne, and Kamara into the running back room I have now through some good trades. My team is pretty good, but are there any trades you would do to make the team guaranteed for the playoffs? My second year of fantasy and watching make me feels like a pro. Much love, Mason. Much love, my friend. Excited to dive into this. Let me send you over some free questions just in case there's anything else that you want to follow up here. We are the second team when it comes to League Analyzer. We are 6-3 we have scored the 4th most points in this league. It's a 14-team format. So the waiver wire is going to be a little bit thin, but we don't have to worry too much about the depth when it comes to our starting lineup. It's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. Now, quarterback, we have Dart, Purdy, and Lawrence. I would say in general, obviously, we don't need to be rostering 3 QBs, but you are finding yourself maybe in a little bit of an awkward spot in which the waiver wire is crap. Our best waiver wire pickup would be like Christian Kirk. So you're not super excited to go out there and cut a quarterback for a player off waivers, while at the same time, like if we're looking at what you have when it comes to trade value, nobody's trading for Dart, Purdy, or Lawrence. I mean, somebody may trade for Dart, but nobody's trading for Purdy or Lawrence, and we need Dart to start right now. So quarterback, I think you're just kind of stuck as is. Running back, we have H and Derrick Henry, the 2 locked and loaded starts every single week. I would say that maybe like Emmanuel Wilson would be an interesting roster spot. Blake Corum maybe would be interesting. Like, honestly, yeah, I would cut Olamide Zaccheaus. I would pick up one of the handcuff running backs, whether that would be Tank Bigsby, Dylan Sampson, Emmanuel Wilson, Blake Corum, kind of up to you. I think I probably need to move Blake Corum ahead of these other names in our rest of season ranks now that you do have Judkins and you have Saquon Barkley both healthy. So let me go ahead and update that right now. We'll put Blake Corum higher on this list. But yeah, I would probably go ahead. I'd cut Olamide Zaccheaus. Zaccheaus just not exciting anymore now that you have Luther Burden back, you have Cole Kmet back, you have the Loveland breakout. Like, I understand 14-team league, maybe it would have been somebody that you'd consider starting, but now it's a little bit tough. Now, looking at receiver, you have Puka, Flowers, Higgins, Addison. So it's a 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. Who was that, Mooney? 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league. And we have 4 startable receivers. So if there is a move to be made, it is, could you send Jordan Addison and Jackson Dart and go and get yourself to an elite level QB? Go get you somebody like Jalen Hurts. Go get you somebody like, obviously Mahomes, Allen, Lamar would be a no-brainer. Okay. Now, I'm trying to think if there's anything else for this team to do. I really like the construction of it. Again, I think you can afford to sell a depth wide receiver with Dart to get yourself a true elite level quarterback if you wanted to. But I don't know. That would just be a marginal play. I just think the main thing I would look to do is, if possible, I would probably, I mean, it's definitely possible. I would cut Olamide Zaccheaus. I'd pick up a handcuff running back. I'd go for Blake Corum. And then again, if you wanted to sell one of the wide receivers with Dart and get yourself an elite level quarterback, I think you can make that move as well. But I really appreciate you and hope I was able to help you out in some way with this. But I think you have a great team. I don't think you really need much help. Did Bijan hold on to that? Crap. Tackled for a loss, but still he gets the reception value. Okay, let me back out of here and see if we have any more. I actually need to log out and log back in to see if we have any more questions. Okay. Let me log out. Okay. I think we're all caught up on questions. Like I said, I want to go test drive a car before the main kickoff slate today. So we may actually end this live stream a little bit early, especially now that we're all caught up with every question. But I'm wishing you all the best of luck today. You know, I appreciate you stopping by this fine Sunday morning. It's going to be a fun day, assuming I win my matchup, which fingers crossed, we'll see. But much love, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate y'all. And I really hope I get to see you out with the video later tonight, where obviously I'll be recapping everything that happens. And if that video is going to be any good, I got to at least see the majority of the games. So let me go get this car stuff out of the way before it's dealt with. But appreciate y'all and hope we get to see you out in the live or the